to the posse. My name is AJ.
Hello guys, this is Lex. Welcome back to another video. AJ, I would like to talk about a movie that is everybody's actually talking about it. And I wanted it, the reason why we didn't make a video earlier is because I wanted to wait and see. I'm sure you are familiar with this movie, right? Sound of Freedom.
Yeah, I've heard about that. It's actually a movie I do want to go see. But I hear like if you watch it in the movie theaters lately, something happens, the AC breaks, or your tickets get refunded, or somehow it's not playing.
Well, that is that is kind of weird because I've been also watching uh, a lot of videos too, and that didn't happen only one time. It's been happening around, and like you said, it's either the AC that is not working, or they play the movie and they leave the lights on. But something happens that is not good experience for the people who's going to watch that movie. Positive experience for the people that's watching the movie. But it's something that if you against this movie, which I I read a couple of things about people not liking the movie, and I'm talking about big news channels. Some of these guys are not happy about the movie, and they're which I just don't understand why. And this movie, just to talk about and give a little bit information about the movie. This movie is not a new movie. I don't know if you knew that.
Mhm.
This movie, they started creating or they started making this movie, writing the story and researching in 2015.
Mm.
So it took a while for this movie to even be at the point where they were going to start filming. So for for people who has watched this movie, I haven't seen it yet, and I don't know if I'm going to go and see it. I do want to go and watch it, but it looks like it's very hard to watch. And it surprised me in a way where how these guys are talking about. I didn't know the US was the number one country who watch and abuse minors at this way. Uh, I don't know how is it. I don't understand. Are they trying to make it legal? Because to me, the laws in this country is very strict. Like if you mess with a minor, you go to jail. But it seems to me that the only people who goes to prison is the people who don't have the deep pockets to have a good attorney, have those good connections. Apparently, people who abuse these kids are like upper class people. Uh, and it's weird because Disney used to own this movie. So when the movie was finished in 2019, Disney bought 21st Century Fox, and they, I guess, obtained the right of that movie. And they told the producer that that movie was not for Disney. It did not belong at Disney. You would think Disney is for kids, right? I mean, they will be looking out for the kids, for the best of every kid in the world. But they didn't wanna have anything to do with this movie, which it just something that is very weird to me. why Disney wouldn't want to do something like that. That to me, that was a good opportunity for Disney to show that movie and say, okay, we not only make movies for kids, but we protect the kids too. But now it looks like they're not for the kids. The only target they have or the only thing they want to do is just profit, and that's it. They don't care about kids in the world or this country or anywhere else. Uh, I don't know what you think, AJ. I know you say you haven't seen it, you want to see it, but I mean, what do you think about Disney not wanting to put these movies in theaters?
Uh, Obviously, it makes me feel like there's something more behind it. Uh, like you said, we've seen well, we've seen
And
basically a lot of you know things happening to try to stop this movie from like being promoted. I see it being promoted on Twitter. I see it being promoted like on Truth Social. I don't understand why Democrats and are not talking about it. I see Republicans still talking about it. Trump is actually hosting a special screening at his golf course. Uh, I don't understand if this movie is doing such a good thing. Even the press secretary of the White House wouldn't comment on it. It's kind of weird, you know. You would expect
and
Democrats too,
everybody should be
because
on board. I
yeah,
mean,
they should be on
kids
board,
is
especially because it's people from different countries, all sorts of ethnicities. So that's something Democrats try to target. It was very odd for them not to like talk about it. I haven't seen that many Democrats talk about it. And going further, Disney. We've talked about Disney. Disney is a company that is trying to uh
Disney has a different
bro,
agenda.
yeah, it has a different agenda altogether. I just didn't know how I want to put it together. So basically what they're going for is letting kids basically wander around, learn from themselves, learn from their movies, and not listen to their parents. What their parents want is not in their agenda. If you see a lot of Disney movies, even if they're their teenager movies or anything like that, it's always to go against their parents' wishes. Have you ever seen that? If you ever see teenage movies, or if you ever seen any of those Disney movies, it's always to go against their parents, because what happens at the end of the day is because they feel like the kids are smarter, intelligent. They talk back to their parents, no respect. And you see, as you grow up, you recognize it more and more. I didn't recognize it honestly till I started like rewatching these movies. I'm like, man, how could that girl just talk to her mom like that for a guy that she knows for like 1 day or 2 days? It just makes me feel like it indirectly affects the mind of the child, the teenager, or whatever, because they're not obviously fully developed at that stage. No matter what kind of science you want to put in front of me, the fake woke science, actual science says that your brain still develops all the way to your age 25. Now, what you want to do to affect your mind, that's on you. If you want to continue watching Disney movies, whatever. But this movie, however, is an important movie, and I think a lot of people should watch it because these things happen.
It's
And
real.
I I found out about Sound of Freedom. Not I didn't know it was in the theaters or anything like that. I didn't even look at the Twitter ads, or I saw something like that, Sound of Freedom, but it didn't really get to me. I saw something on Twitter where a guy was basically like taking his suitcase all the way to his room, and he was like, really trying to lift it. I'm like, man, it's a suitcase, you could easily, it shouldn't be that heavy. Then I was reading the comments, and it said that there was child or a girl inside of that suitcase being,
Really?
sold or
So
kidnapped.
that was that part of the movie, like a scene of the movie?
I was reading the comments, and then when I read the description of what it was posted, it said that this is what actually happens when you guys say "Sound of Freedom" is fake or something. This is actually happening. So then I was like, "What is? Wait, Sound of Freedom? I seen the things. It's just it didn't like when I saw it, it was just a guy. Like I felt like it was probably some cop or movie or something like that. But then I started researching it, and I see it's like about sex trafficking, pornography, pedophilia, all these things. And obviously, the more the government will start letting others get involved into this, things might open doors where you're like, oh shit, someone might come out of that door, and you're like, oh, I did not expect that person to be behind that door. So I think there's a lot of people trying to maybe, the government's not getting too involved. It's because, obviously there's probably some high people out there that are involved and they just don't want their names out. So,
So you
I
say
think,
you saw that you saw that guy with a suitcase. You saw it on Twitter?
yeah,
Here's the funny thing
guy like
about
trying to grab suitcases and, going inside. But
here's the
like I
funny
said,
thing about here's the funny thing about not funny thing, but a good thing about Twitter. But before I say something about Twitter, also not only Disney did not support this movie, Netflix was another company who said no to it. Amazon was another company who said no to it,
well, these companies have that
among
ESG score.
others.
Yeah,
Now, Twitter, Moss said once that movie is out of the movie theaters, he's going to put it on Twitter
for free.
so people will see it for free.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? This is huge. Millions and millions of people who did not get a chance to go to the movie theater and watch it are going to watch it
Oh
on
yeah,
Twitter for
that
free.
same thing
So
happened
that's
at the
huge.
what's that
And
that movie called? What is a woman? I don't know if you've seen that. He put
no,
it on Twitter for free too
and
because
here's
they were
and
suppressing it.
and the guy who said Twitter is going to do that is Eduardo Verastegui, who is the movie producer. This guy did everything he could to get this movie out. I mean, I saw a video where he's talking about the movie and the thing he went through to make it happen is unreal. I mean, if you believe in God, that's when you know he's with us. Because the way he talks and the way things went, that everything he had to go through making of this movie, going to Colombia and make the movie. And while they were filming, Tim Butler, who is the main guy in real life in that movie, they went and they rescued 200 miners in Colombia. Angel's studio, I didn't even know Utah had a movie studio. And this is that studio, which is a distributor, is from Provo, Utah. Good job for those guys, man. And they took the challenge to put that movie out. Great job. And AJ, you won't believe how much it costs to make this movie. The
Yeah,
budget they had,
14.8 million was basically put in,
and
budgeted,
they
and
went
they made.
against
Yeah,
Indiana Jones, which they say had over $200 million budget. It was in a whole lot more movie theater spaces,
yes,
and they still did a great job, and they still making money at the movie theater.
yeah.
Good for them. People, if you want to go watch the movie, go watch it. If you had kids, take care of your kids. don't trust your kids to anybody. So you don't know who that person is.
So it also this movie is basically putting out conspiracy theories of what QAnon says. And QAnon is a conspiracy group that talks
But,
about,
but here's the funny thing about that, AJ, and I'm sorry to cut you off. When they started making this movie, when they started putting this movie together, that group was not even.
yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't even. It wasn't even a group. I mean, it wasn't even. It
a
wasn't
thing,
anything.
yeah.
So in 2015, they started making right, getting this movie together. Nobody knew that a few several years later, that group was gonna come out. So it's just funny how they put it. But
Well,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
man. I'm sorry
it's
for.
basically like what I'm trying to say is like, the conservative movies are being suppressed, and you see people like Elon Musk, basically bringing it to light, um, which should be the fair balance. But sooner or later, I think what's gonna happen is uh, people are gonna start, seeing these things. Like you said, Indiana Jones came on that movie day. Would you rather watch Indiana Jones, or would you rather watch, The Sound of Freedom? It goes for different, age groups. Me, if I had to pick, I'd probably go watch Sound of Freedom because it sounds more informative to me. I think if I was like younger, I'd definitely go watch Indiana Jones. But I think a lot of things are, their times are changing. Kids are obviously more mature at a level, where a lot of information is available to them. So, a lot of their innocence, a lot of their all that stuff goes away. And we got to inform our kids that, things like this happen, and we need to take steps, obviously, to protect our children, because there are sickos out there. There are definitely sickos, and they'll do whatever to, complete their sick fetish dreams.
And the
So
problem with that also, AJ, is that they don't only abuse these kids for years. If they take these kids, they keep they keep these kids for like around 10 years, and that's what Tim Beller said. They keep them for around 10 years. After those 10 years, the second phase is to they kill these kids for their organs. So think about it, how sick of a mind these people has, where they abuse these kids, and then when they feel and think they're no longer needed for the purpose of their personal gain, the next step is to kill the kids and sell their organs. And if things don't change, people don't change, this is going to apparently, and they said it's going to become, the market is going to be bigger than the drugs market. So there's a lot of work that it needs to be done, not only from us, but also from the governments of this country and in every country. I mean, we all saying, everybody says, okay, kids are the future. Well, let's go ahead and work on it. Check the kids.
if you wait for the government to do anything when it's never going to happen, people have to do it themselves. And then the government's like, oh, well, all right, let's help out some way in some way and see what can benefit us while we help them out. So,
See, the thing is with the government is they are responsible
correct.
because in none of in what you say is very true, very true. I mean, government won't do much for us, but they are responsible. At the end of the day, they're using your
In a
money,
perfect world,
my
that,
money.
that would be lovely.
Yes, they're using our money, so they are forced to do the right thing for the people. Obviously, like you said, the world's not perfect. It doesn't really happen that way, but I hope the future is brighter for the new generations that are to come. But
it's gonna take something very drastic for it to happen, but I mean, I hope it doesn't get to that. All right, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Tell us what you think about The Sound of Freedom. If you watched it, what are your thoughts about it, and what can we as a society do to, better ourselves and change and help out.
thank you guys. And we will see you on the next one. Give us the like button and please subscribe.